Amazing. Okay, so then let's just get started. I only have one hand because Kiara is legitimately lying on my hand. Okay. Hi, guys. Happy Monday. Shauna says hello. Happy Monday. I don't know about you, but I'm a little groggy this morning. It's been a slow morning, a slow morning. So I hope that your morning is slow and peaceful. All right. I am Melissa Agnes, if you didn't know that. And this is Morning Lives with me, Melissa Agnes. Excuse me. A daily space. So this Morning Lives with me, Melissa Agnes, is a daily space where leaders like you get to come and get grounded, get connected to your inner strength, your inner resilience, your purpose, and how possible and just capable you are of bringing that purpose to life and how much the world needs it. So if that being said, if you are doing work that matters, which you are, and you want to lead from even more unwavering steadiness, from increased clarity and deeper connection, and whenever I talk about connection, connection is always the goal. Connection to self, connection to source, whatever word you want to give that, and connection to those that you're leading. As you step into what you are called to do, then these morning lives are for you. I show up every single morning, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, live on both LinkedIn and IG for the time being. And the intention is to spend 10 minutes sharing one truth, one thing that helps you. My intention is to help you remember what is important, what is real, what is true, not what the world has subscribed to and tries to convince us of. And then we do a 10-minute drop-in. So if it's your first time, I'll explain it all later. But essentially to get into alignment, to get into coherence so that you can start your day off your most potent, powerful, magnetic, resonant self. And so what I like to say is that I'm not necessarily here to teach you anything new. I'm simply here to remind you of what's true. And if you have questions or comments, please put them in the chat. Please, put them in the comments, put them in the chat, wherever you're listening in from, because they help me know that you're here and you're listening, and I love to answer them. There is a lag, so if you write something in the chat, for example, I'll see it right away. I'll probably comment more or less right away, but you won't hear it for a good 30 to 45 seconds because of that lag. For some reason, on my end, IG looks like I'm frozen in space. You guys are telling me that's not the case, but I'm somebody who needs to see things for herself. So I'm just going to go onto IG super quickly. I'm frozen in space. Okay, it's good. I frustrate Aaron all the time with that. He's like, I just told you what was what. I'm like, yeah, well, I needed to see it for myself. Okay, so this morning, with only one hand, this morning, I woke up. Actually, I didn't even wake up feeling stressed this morning. I was stressed throughout the night. It's wild. I don't know if that ever happens to you, where it wasn't that I was having stressful dreams. It was that I was dreaming and I was stressed. Two things, like both were true. So then, of course, I woke up with like elevated, heart rhythms and just that feeling of stress. And I was like, so I did what I do to get out of stress, and then I thought, what a great maybe opportunity to talk about it, because we don't talk about stress, and I don't know, I don't hear people really talk about stress, and yet there is research, there are studies that show that we as a society, individually, collectively, we tend to live in states of stress and survival, which I'll get into in a minute, 70% of the time. I actually think that stat is very low. I would wage that most people live in forms of stress or in states of stress and survival mode way more than 70% of the time. And so I wanted to talk a little bit, not necessarily about the emotionality of stress or the emotion of stress, but what stress does and why it's so important for purpose-driven leaders to recognize when we're in a state of stress, to remember what it actually does to us and how it doesn't serve us and our mission, and then how to switch out of stress and into what we're going to call creation mode. So that's what I want to talk about today, and it's extremely handy because, and it's not even that it's just extremely handy, it is the work. It is part of the things that is really, really challenging to do as a leader, and sometimes can feel almost impossible, but it is possible, and it is the work. And so even for me this morning, I was like, I'm not going to come onto this live feeling stressed. I still feel a little bit stressed, but I can feel myself coming out of that state because I do the work. So I want to share a little bit about what that work is. So from a quantum physics standpoint, stress pulls us toward particle-like behavior, so separation, rather than wave-like connectedness. I won't go into the quantum science. I do that in our advanced programs, and I think it's super fascinating. But even just, to recognize that separateness is an illusion, and separateness is an illusion that we subscribe to, especially or more easily when we're in states of stress and survival, because we get pulled into our individuality, right? And it kind of like puts these blinders on and makes us feel like we are not more than just our human, and therefore we are not all interconnected. And as a purpose-driven leader, it's so important to always remember that that's actually false. That's actually an illusion, and to remember that we have to lead from connectiveness. We have to lead from connection. We can't do that when we're in states of stress. So stress happens when the body and the brain are knocked out of homeostasis and out of coherence, which we talk about every single morning, due to a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation. So worry and mental tension are based on low vibrational thoughts from the analytical, the beta brain waves, the analytical mind, the beta brain waves. What do we know? We know that our thoughts matter. I talk about this so often. Our thoughts matter. Our thoughts create matter, as Dr. Joe Dispenza says. And so, sorry, love. Just trying to put her face on my computer. It's not going to work. So stress happens when we are having those lower frequency, those fear-based thoughts, which then creates this cycle of fear-based emotion, which then puts us into stress, right? So those thoughts trigger low vibrational emotions, making us more matter, less energy, more particle, less wave, amplifying the illusion of separateness. So all the things that I just said. So when we're in a mode of stress / survival mode, okay, so through the release of cortisol, which arouses the brain, stress keeps our focus on survival and the material world, so the matter, narrowing our awareness and our sense of connection. And here's the thing, we are either in a state of survival or we're in a state of creation. And you can't create from a place of survival. And so stress puts us into that place of survival. So here's what happens. When we are in stress, when we are in survival mode, this triggers the amygdala, which floods our body with cortisol and adrenaline. Cortisol is highly addictive, like sugar. It is highly addictive, and so that's something really important to note. We'll come back to that. So when cortisol and adrenaline are flushing through our system, it actually shuts down or begins to shut down our prefrontal cortex, which is what gives us access. Our prefrontal cortex is the part of our brain that gives us access to strategic thinking, to big picture vision, right? To doing more than just living in survival mode. And so when our prefrontal cortex is shut down, this leads to reactive actions, not responsive actions, risk-averse, fear-driven decisions that create more separateness and risk actually escalating a problem or amplifying the negative effects of a situation rather than solving for them. So that's what happens when as mission-driven, purpose-driven leaders, we have to recognize when your body is in a state of stress, what it's doing. So even if you feel like you're highly functional, you're able to make non-fear-based decisions, etc., when you are in high stress and your body is being flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, you're not in the most optimal position because your prefrontal cortex is turning offline. It's going offline so that your body is getting ready to keep you alive. Fight, flight, freeze. Okay? So the opposite of that is creation mode. So you can't be in survival and creation at the same time. You can't create from survival. So creation mode, this is where you have access to clarity. This is where you have access to your most innovative thinking. Possibility leadership comes from not being in stress and survival. I talked about possibility versus probability leadership in a previous session. So when you're in creation mode, your prefrontal cortex actually begins to engage even more. So this is where problem solving, innovative thinking, creative thinking happens. It activates when your prefrontal cortex is online. You're not in stress, you're not being flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. You begin to get into heart coherence. Your heart coherence begins to activate. This allows you to be regulated, right? To stay calm, to stay focused, to stay clear. It also helps you to help others regulate, because our systems as human beings, our nervous system co-regulates. We are connected and connective beings. We co-regulate together. So, and I've already said this, I love the saying that the most powerful person in the room is the most regulated person in the room, because every single person's nervous system is looking to be regulated. Most people live over 70% of the time in stress. That means they are out of regulation, they're dysregulated. So when you are regulated, you help to co-regulate them, which helps to bring them out of stress and survival and into creation, which creates this synchronicity, this ability for them to instinctively begin to trust you, because you are the safe place that is helping them feel good, feel better, think more clearly. That is a very, very powerful leadership skill. And so this opens you up to possibility thinking. Leaders who operate here see obstacles and challenges as launch pads, because they know that every possibility exists in superposition at all the time. And so when you're not in a stress mode and you're not in survival, you're in creation, you can create from possibility, which is how your big vision, as a mission-driven leader, you have this big vision of what you want to bring to the world or your community or your family or your business. This is where you get to create from. That's why it's called creation mode. But we can't create from stress. And so part of the work, and I'm saying this from experience because this is how I woke up this morning, part of the work as a purpose-driven leader who wants to create beautiful impact on the world is to recognize when you are in a state of stress and switch yourself out of survival and into creation. And guess what? The work that we do here every single morning together is preparing you and teaching you how to do that, whether you realize it or not. So for those of you who show up with me every morning and breathe, you are now, this is the 21st episode of Morning Lives with Melissa Agnes. This is week number 5. If you've been showing up the majority of the time with me each morning, you have really begun to create this skill of teaching your body how to get instinctively out of survival and into creation. There's a method to the madness, guys. There's a reason I do this with you every single morning. So this physiological state, being in survival mode, reinforces isolation and prevents access to the most expansive aspects of your mindset and leadership and decision-making capability that is required for the mission and the purpose that you are leading in this world. So I also said that cortisol is addictive, right? Our bodies are addicted to it, which means that it feels good. People are so addicted to being in stress and in survival so frequently that it actually feels good. It doesn't feel good because it's right. It feels good because it's familiar and because the body is addicted to it, which means it takes even more consciousness. And this is where I say, like, this is the work to choose to recognize when you're in that state and to choose from that state, which can be very hard, especially at the beginning, choose to get out of it. And so how do you get out of it? Kiara's being silly. How do you get out of it? Please leave that. Thank you. There's a bunch of different ways that might work for you. The way that I teach in these morning lives, not in our deeper programs, but in these morning lives, in the interest of time and super fast access, is through your breath. Stress happens when we have low frequency, low vibrational thoughts, right? Negative, quote unquote, negative thoughts, fear-based thoughts that then create fear-based emotions, because our thoughts create our emotions, which then creates our entire state and moves us out of regulation, moves us out of coherence. So what we think absolutely matters, and how we feel matters even more, and that's a hack that we can teach ourselves. So when we're in survival and in stress, begin by doing something that changes your thoughts. So for me, for example, and I did it this morning, sometimes it's journaling for me, sometimes it's music for me, sometimes it's gratitude. I will just write 3 pages of all the things that I have that I'm so grateful for, right? Like switching my mind out of the negative. Or it's like accessing a book. So Kathy Heller's book, Abundant Ever After, is a really great source of remembrance. So I have all these pages highlighted, and I'll just kind of randomly open up a page, and I know that this book helps me remember what's true and helps me feel good. So like those are my little hacks. And then you come to your breath, because the stress comes from your thoughts, which live in your brain. Fear lives in your brain. So in order to get out of that state, we have to get into our bodies. And that's where the breath helps us do that. So you can begin with your thoughts, but then come to your breath. And then they play together. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to do it this morning. We're going to do our drop-in like we do every morning. And we're really going to focus this morning on ease. Invitation to have an intention to ask yourself to get curious about what would ease feel like. If ease doesn't resonate with you, then what is the opposite to you of like stress? Calm, peacefulness, clarity. Choose a word, right? And then as we breathe, we're going to breathe into that word, and we're going to let that word help you regulate your nervous system. Or deepen your regulation if you are not currently in a state of stress this morning. But again, this will serve you in the moments that you do find yourself in stress. My clients report that they will do these techniques prior to going into any important meeting, and they have witnessed, they've documented the change, not just for themselves, but the results of those meetings post, because the difference was how they showed up. The difference was they took themselves completely out of stress, completely out of survival, into regulation, into coherence, opened their heart, which we do every morning as well, and go into a meeting from that place. And it's incredible the results that they experience. And they begin to experience this weeks after joining our 6-month program, just weeks. Like 3 weeks, we start to see the biggest like peak in just different leadership, different impact in such a beautiful and like amplified way. They also report, my clients also report that when they can feel, because we're co-regulating beings, right? I'll say this very quickly. When they're in a meeting that maybe they're not leading and they feel the tension rising, they can feel people starting to get stressed or activated, right? Triggered in some way. They will focus on their breathing because that's what they have power over. And they consistently report back and share with me how they love doing that, because it's like this science project, and it's so empowering because all of a sudden when they become regulated, they start noticing the tension in the entire room shift. The tension diminishes, people begin to feel a little bit lighter, and the meeting will take a different direction from where it was going, which was high stress, more of the lower frequency vibrational outcomes. So this is an extremely powerful leadership tool, and we need mission-driven leaders to take accountability and ownership of their states, and then to really do the work to switch out of those states. And the more we do the work, the easier it is in the moments when we find ourselves in stress and survival. Okay, we're doing a drop-in. I think that was probably enough to describe what we're doing. The drop-in is breath work. It is getting calm. It is the focus of getting out of the analytical mind and into the body, where our other 2 intelligence centers exist, which are our heart brain and our gut brain. And it feels so good. Friday I talked about how things are allowed to feel good, how your breath is allowed to feel good, how the safety in your body and your coherence is allowed to feel good. So this is allowed to feel good. All right, so shutting down distractions. If you are driving, please don't do this. This is not safe. If you're doing something where you can't shut down distractions, then feel free to come back to the recording at another time when you are able to like really take this seriously and gift yourself the next 10 minutes. And if you are in public, let's say you're at a cafe or a WeWork or in a cubicle or in an office with a window and people can see you, and you're like, I can't do this in front of people because I'm going to feel silly and they're going to think I'm weird. Well, my invitation to you is to let them. To feel silly and do it anyway. because the outcome, the results, the impact that you're going to have far outweighs that little piece of insecurity that makes you feel silly. And in my experience too, people are going to start feeling the difference in you, and they're going to start to get curious about that thing you're doing every morning, and if you can maybe teach them or show them, because they want to feel as good as you feel. They want to have the same kind of energy and impact that you have post these morning sessions. So, invitation to lead by example. All right, shaking out, taking a moment to just shake it out. Shake out whatever's already been today that you would like to evacuate from your body, because everything is energy. And energy likes to move, right? So letting it move through you. And I'll just show you my situation. Look at that. Look at Kiara. Oh, there she is. Not you. Oh, shutting down distractions and getting comfortable in your seat. We're going to do simple halo active breathing today, which is in through your nose, out through your mouth. And you're going to keep that breath flowing, and I'm going to cue. I will lead. All you have to do is focus on your breath, listen to my voice, and remember that your body is the highest authority. So your body knows exactly what it needs. You are your own medicine. We just haven't been taught how to actually embody that and really bring that to life. So if I say something and something else feels better to you, do that something else. You are your highest authority. All right. So getting comfortable in your seat, shutting down your eyes or softening your gaze, whatever might feel best to you. I am so going to do this with you guys this morning because my system is craving it. Activating that halo active breath, which is in through the nose, out through the mouth. This breath, keeping that breath flowing, this breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, is more deeply you do it, the more calmly and deeply you do it, the more you are signaling to your nervous system that you are safe. If you are safe, you don't need to be in survival. So it's another hack. If you are safe, you don't need to be in survival, and you can be in creation. So this breath is one of those instant hacks, instant accesses to find our creation and get out of survival. In through the nose. And on your next exhale, out through the mouth, following that breath, following it all the way down through your chest, to your belly, all the way down to your sit bones. An invitation here to really feel into your body, keep that breath flowing, and feel into your body, feeling the sensations of the seat or the chair that you're sitting on against your body. And getting curious about it. What does it feel like? Where do you notice the sensations the most? When we're able to take our awareness and move it out of our brain, out of behind our eyes, and bring it to other areas of our body or outside of ourselves, it's another great hack, great access to helping us get out of fear, get out of doubt, get out of stress, get out of survival, and into creation. There's a method to my madness, guys. So feeling that sensation against your body, and noticing how sturdy the seat that you are sitting upon, how sturdy it is. Also noticing that it doesn't have feelings, so it's okay, it won't mind if you just completely unburden yourself. Sink into that seat. Allow yourself to just exhale deeply and let all the tension out. Give it to the seat. The seat won't drop you, and the seat won't mind. Which means you are free right now to just be, to give it all away and to just be. Keeping that breath flowing. And on your next inhale, in through the nose, following that breath with your awareness, just feeling that breath come up from your sit bones, travel up through your stomach to your heart. Hand on your heart if it's helpful to you, to really help your focus, your awareness come to this space. And land on your heart. And this breath pattern that we're going to do, which is heart breathing, is one of the breath patterns that HeartMath Institute? Yeah, that the HeartMath Institute really teaches to get instant access to coherence, getting yourself into coherence, which means you're out of stress and you're regulating your nervous system. So as you inhale through the nose, I want you to imagine that it is your heart that is taking in this breath. So maybe you're opening up your chest cavity and really bringing in that air and feeling it come in through your heart space and enter into your system, into your body, letting it feel so good. And on every exhale, allowing yourself to follow that breath from your heart into your belly, into your solar plexus. And we're going to cycle this. So it's always in through the nose, out through the mouth, but it's in through the nose, opening up that heart space. Picturing your heart just opening up, the heart's electromagnetic field just expanding wider and wider, and exhaling through the mouth, bringing that breath from the heart into the belly. So we're cycling this, allowing it to feel so good, to feel so expansive, to feel so safe, to feel so calming. And if your thoughts come into play, that's perfectly fine. That's great. You could say, this is lovely. I'm alive. That's a sign that I'm alive. And then just come back to your breath. Come back to the feeling, the sensation. We focus on the sensation. What does it feel like to breathe that air in through the heart? How good can you allow that to feel? And what does it feel like to exhale and sink deeper and deeper into your belly? We're going to stay here for a few moments. Keeping that breath flowing, letting it feel good. And if you would like to add to this, if this is feeling good for you, if you want to stay with this, that's perfectly fine. And if it's feeling good for you and you're like, I want to amp this up, let's amp this up. Invitation to bring something to mind that lights you up. Maybe it's a child or a grandchild that just fills your heart with joy and with love. Maybe it's your mission and how excited you are to create the positive impact that you get to create on this world or your business or whatever it might be. Maybe it's a goal that you're working towards, right? And you're feeling into what it's going to feel like to achieve that goal. So as you continue to move your breath in through your nose, expanding your heart, out through your mouth, sinking more and more deeply into your belly, invitation to allow yourself to feel something that feels exciting, joy-filled, love-filled, fills you with gratitude. And so what you're doing, when you do that, you're letting that feeling, joy, gratitude, excitement, love, whatever you're activating, you're letting that come in through your body. You're allowing the thoughts and the emotions that it creates to amplify how good you feel in your body right now as you take in these breaths. Circulate that breath. how good can you allow yourself to feel? And as we take the last few moments of breath, really focusing on your heart. If it feels good, bringing a hand back to your heart space, really bring that awareness. And let's take a moment of gratitude. Because no matter what's going on in our lives or in the world around us, there's so much to be grateful for. And gratitude is one of the highest vibrations, if not like right up there with love. It's like the highest vibration right up there with love. And so when we can remember also to feel grateful and to truly, truly feel that gratitude, that's another way, hack, to help you more easily get out of survival, out of stress, and into creation. So as always, I'm going to express my gratitude to you, for you, because you're not doing the easy thing. I'm grateful for whatever meaningful mission you are here to lead, and I am grateful to you for taking this time and choosing you, choosing your own regulation, getting into coherence, leading by example, because the world needs more regulation, more regulated nervous systems, less survival and stress. And because we co-regulate as human beings, you choosing to get into coherence means that you are helping the world be more regulated and have more access to creation versus survival. I am deeply grateful for that. And when you're ready, wiggling your fingers and your toes and coming back to the screen, coming back to the moment. And letting me know in the chat, if you feel so called, how are you feeling? How was that for you? Did you notice anything new this morning? Do you feel calmer? Before I let you go, I'm just kind of recapping as we do every morning. Research says that most people live in survival mode, stress mode, 70% of the time. I think that is an understatement. I think that number is probably realistically higher. Stress comes from low frequency thoughts. It comes from your brain thinking and getting concerned, and then that triggering the stress reaction in your body, which floods your body with adrenaline and cortisol, which is highly addictive. And as a result of this, because your body is getting ready to survive, because as you're getting into survival mode, your prefrontal cortex begins to go offline. Your prefrontal cortex is the place in your brain, it's part of your brain that allows you access to creative problem solving, to innovative thinking, to visionary leadership and decision making. And so as a mission-driven leader, you can't lead, you can't create from survival mode because your prefrontal cortex is shutting off. So you can't be in survival and creation at the same time. And we need you in creation because you are here leading important, powerful, meaningful missions. And you have to lead that from a state of creation. And so a mission-driven leader, a purpose-driven leader, it is your responsibility to notice when your system begins to be flooded with cortisol and adrenaline, when you begin to be put into a stress mode. Recognize your thoughts. Recognize your heart rate. Recognize how you feel in your body. Remember what that's actually doing, whether you have the illusion that you can still create or not. Remember physiologically what it's actually doing to your brain. Change your thought patterns, raise your frequencies, and you can do this by getting out of your brain, out of your analytical thinking, and into your body, and doing the practice that we just did. It takes only a few minutes to do this. And in my experience, from my students and my clients that take my programs or that do my VIP coaching, the results of taking 5 minutes to breathe and to get out of survival and into creation before making a decision or before leading a meeting or doing the thing, whatever the thing is, 5 minutes of breath and getting into your body and remembering all of this and doing this work prior to taking those leadership tasks and responsibilities makes monumental difference and monumentally supports the impact that you get to make, which is what we need you to do. Remembering your breath. You cannot create from survival. Most people live in survival without even realizing it because cortisol is addictive. And everything in our world is created to increase our cortisol levels, to keep us in stress. But we get to know different, and we get to do differently. We get to do differently. It's your choice, it's your responsibility, and you get to lead by example. And I am grateful to you for spending this morning with me and for choosing that. And if you have questions, send them to me, please, because if you're thinking them, other people are thinking them, you are not alone. And they fuel me, and they give me thoughts and ideas of what to share in these morning lives so that we can keep this going. All right, I am Melissa Agnes. I will be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on LinkedIn and Instagram live for another morning live with Melissa Agnes, where I will share one truth, one message that is designed to anchor you in what is true, what is real, what is important, what actually matters, to unsubscribe from the illusions that our world has programmed us to believe are real but aren't, so that you can lead the mission and the purpose that you are here to lead, that we need you to be your best self for. Followed by that little message, we do a drop-in where you get to get into coherence. You get to feel good. You get to remember who you are, what you're capable of. You get to access those higher frequencies that will support you in bringing your vision to life. All right. I will see you tomorrow morning. Have a beautiful day. And every time you feel yourself getting stressed, maybe it's because you notice a thought that you're having, or maybe you notice that your body is changing, right? Physiologically, you're having a stress reaction in your body. Whatever it might be, choose to do the work. Choose to stop. I don't care what you're doing. Unless you are on, I don't even care. You can breathe. You always have access to your breath, and it's a choice. You can choose your regulation. No excuses. Period. I hope that you choose that for you, for your mission, and for the communities that you serve. All right. Wishing you a beautiful day. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye.